The sky above Loraving was once full of color soft green clouds, twin moons, and glowing silver birds. The trees were tall and blue, and rivers shone with light. It was a peaceful world, full of beauty and life. But now everything was gone. Smoke rose from broken cities. The skies were dark. Fire covered the lands. Strange machines floated above, shooting beams that burned everything. The war had come too fast. Nobody was ready. Celia held her little sister Mira close as their home collapsed. Behind them, they were both covered in dust and scratches. Celia was older, maybe 19 in human years. Mira was younger, just 12. Their eyes, once full of wonder, were now full of fear. "Mira, don't look back," Celia whispered. "We must keep moving." "But where, Celia?" Mira asked, voice trembling. "There's nothing left." Celia looked up at the sky. Small escape pod, rusted, and half-broken lay hidden near the mountain path. It was their only hope. Their parents had told them about it long ago in case of danger. Now it was their last chance. They ran through ash and rubble, coughing from the smoke. Other people screamed in the distance. Machines chased them. No one was safe by the time they reached the pod. Celia's legs were shaking. Mira was crying, but Celia stayed strong. "I'll get us out," she promised. The pod's door opened with a loud hiss. Inside, it was cold and small. Just enough. Space for two. The controls flickered with low power. Celia didn't care. She pushed the buttons and set the ship to fly anywhere, but here, the pod shot into space. Days passed, then weeks. Food ran out first, then water. The pod had a small air filter, but not much oxygen. Celia shared her food with Mira, even though she was hungry too. Mira became quiet, sleeping most of the time. Her face grew pale. "Don't give up," Celia whispered, brushing Mira's hair. "Someone will find us. Humans, maybe. They help the weak." That's what Mother said. Celia looked at the old ship's scanner. Most planets were far away or dangerous. One dot blinked slowly, a human colony, far from the center of the galaxy. Planet name, New Terra. It was their only hope. Celia set a course and prayed. On New Terra, the sun was warm and yellow. Trees grew tall. Grass swayed in the wind. A single man, Jake Morgan, lived in the hills, away from the town. He was a quiet human, maybe 35 years old, with a strong back and kind eyes. He fixed machines and grew food. That morning, Jake heard a loud sound in the sky. He looked up and saw something falling fast. A small pod, smoking and spinning, crashed in the forest near his home. Jake grabbed his tool bag and ran. The crash site was a mess of broken metal and smoke. Jake pulled back a heavy panel and found them two alien girls, covered in dust, barely breathing. They were thin, weak, and scared. Their skin was a soft silver gray, and their eyes were large and bright. "Help," one of them whispered. "Please." Jake didn't wait. He carried them out one by one, then brought them to his home. Celia woke up in a soft bed. A warm blanket covered her. She smelled food, real food. She sat up fast. "Mira, I'm here," said Mira softly from the other bed. "I'm okay." Ch walked in, holding 2 bowls of hot soup. He placed them on a small table. "I don't know where you're from," he said gently, "but you're safe now. My name's Jake. You can rest here." Celia stood up, weak but proud. "We don't want to steal. We will work. Do anything. Just don't send us away. We're from Loravon. It's gone now." Jake looked at them for a moment, then nodded. "You don't need to offer anything. Just stay. Rest. Later, if you want to help around the farm, that's fine. But you're not prisoners. You're guests." Mira looked at him with big eyes. "You're kind, like in the stories." Jake smiled. "Most humans are. You just met the right one." Later that night, Celia and Mira sat near a small heater. The room was warm, filled with soft lights and the smell of wood. Celia whispered to Mira, "We're lucky he found us." "Not everyone would be so kind." Mira nodded. I think we found a new home. Celia looked out the window into the night sky. Stars sparkled above. Somewhere, far away, their home had been destroyed. But here, they had hoped she didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But for the first time since Lorevin burned, she felt safe. The morning sun rose slowly over New Terra. It painted the sky in soft orange and gold. Birds flew over the green fields. The air was clean, the wind gentle. For most people, it was just another quiet day on the edge of the galaxy. But for Celia and Mira, everything was new. They stood outside Jake Morgan's small farmhouse. It had wooden walls, a metal roof, and an old windmill turning in the breeze. Celia wore simple human clothes, no brown work pants, and a patched-up shirt. Ow. Mira had a warm hoodie that was too big for her, but she liked it. Jake walked out with, "2 cups of warm tea. You to sleep all right?" he asked. Mira nodded shyly. "Yes, thank you." Celia bowed her head. "We're ready to help now. We owe you." Jake smiled. "You don't owe me anything. But if you really want to help, I got a tractor that won't start." The girls followed Jake to his small farmyard. There were machines, tools, animals, and big green fields full of crops. A broken tractor sat near a barn, its engine open. Celia looked at the machine, curious. "This is simple tech." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Simple. You know about engines?" Celia gave a small smile. "My father was an energy engineer. I watched him fix things." Mira helped too. Hare grinned. "I held the tools." Jake stepped back. "Well then, it's all yours." By noon, the tractor was running. Celia cleaned the fuel line, adjusted the wires, and reset the starter. Mira found a missing part in Jake's toolbox. Jake whistled. "You two are something else." "Just want to be useful," Celia said. "We don't want to be a burden." Jake shook his head. "You're not. You're survivors." Over the next few days, the girls began learning more about human life. Mira helped feed the animals big white chickens, brown cows, and strange 4-legged creatures called grazzles. She liked petting them and even named one of the grazzles Bumpy. Celia spent time helping Jake with repairs, learning how to drive human machines, and cooking in the kitchen. At night she read books Jake had collected about Earth, about space, about human history. "You humans have been through so much," she said one evening. "Wars, hunger, even losing your own planet. But you kept going." Jake nodded. "We've had bad times. Yeah, we always stand back up." Celia looked down. "I hope we can do the same." One day, Jake drove them into the nearby human town Cedar Point. It was small, with only a few hundred people. There were shops, houses, and a tall white tower where the town council met. Children played near the fountain. Adults worked on rooftops and in gardens. As soon as the townspeople saw the 2 alien girls, they stopped and stared. Aliens. Someone whispered, "Where are they from? Are they dangerous?" Jake stepped forward. "They're from a dead world. They need our help." An older man named Mayor Henson walked over. He wore a hat and had a serious face. "Jake, we're not used to strangers, especially not ones with glowing eyes." Jake looked him straight in the eyes. "They're not dangerous. They helped me fix my farm, save my season." Mayor Henson looked at Celia and Mira. "What do you say, girls? Are you here to cause trouble?" Celia stood tall. "No, sir. We only want peace and food. We are willing to work for both." Nodded beside her. "Will clean carry, cook anything?" The mayor watched them for a moment. Then he said, "Well, we could use some help fixing the old school building." By the next week, the girls were helping the town. Celia repaired broken tools and taught Jake how to connect alien tech to human machines. Mira planted flowers in the park and helped. In the kitchen of the local diner, children followed her around, curious about her silver skin and glowing eyes. One little girl gave Mira a flower and said, "You're pretty like a star." Mira smiled for the first time in weeks. Celia began to feel something new. Hope. She didn't cry at night anymore. She slept well, ate hot meals, and even laughed. A few times with Jake, one evening, as the sun set over the hills, she stood on the porch with Jake. "You saved our lives," she said softly. Jake looked out over the fields. You saved mine, too. I was alone for a long time. She looked at him. Do you think humans and aliens can live together? For real? Jake gave a small nod. If they try, and if they treat each other with respect. Like we're doing now, Celia smiled, but far. Above New Terra, in the cold of space, something dark moved. A small enemy ship passed silently through the stars. It scanned the planet and picked up old signals ones that came from a Loraving escape pod inside the ship. A cruel alien officer looked at the screen and narrowed his eyes. Survivors. He tapped a command into the console. Send word to command. He found traces. If any of them live, we will finish what we started. Back on the planet, Celia had no idea that danger was coming. All she knew was that her sister was laughing. Again, that Jake had become more than just a farmer. He was a friend, a protector. And that maybe, just maybe, this small human world could become home. Days turned into weeks. On the planet New Terra, life slowly began to change for Celia and Mira. What started as survival became something new, a real life. The human town of Cedar Point grew used to seeing the two alien girls around. At first, people watched them with curious eyes. Some even avoided them. But soon that changed. The girls worked hard. They were respectful, and most of all, they were kind. One early morning, Celia woke up before sunrise. She stretched, tied her silver hair back, and stepped outside into the cool air. Jake's farm was peaceful, and she had started calling it home in her heart. Jake joined her outside with 2 cups of tea. You don't sleep much, he said. Celia nodded. I still see the fire when I close my eyes. Our planet burning. Our family. Jake didn't speak, simply handed her the tea and sat beside her. I know I can't give you back what you lost, said, but I hope this place gives you a reason to keep going. It does, Celia said quietly. You do. Mira had started going to the small human school in Cedar Point. At first she was nervous. The human kids spoke fast, laughed loud, and stared at her glowing eyes. But the teacher, Miss Lana, was kind. Mira sat in the front row and learned human letters, numbers, and stories. She made drawings of her old home and shared them with her class. Slowly, the children warmed up to her. They played tag, shared snacks, and taught her how to throw a ball. One boy, Timmy, gave her a handmade bracelet. It's for you, he said, blushing. Because you're brave. Mira beamed. Thank you. You're my first human friend. Celia worked with Jake on the farm. She learned to drive the tractor, repair harvesters, and cook simple human meals. At first, her food didn't taste great, but over time, she got better. One day, she baked bread for the first time. It was slightly burned, but Jake ate every bite. Not bad, he said, smiling. A little more practice, and we'll call it human approved. Celia laughed a sound Jake rarely heard before. Jake also gave Celia a small old data tablet. She used it to read about Earth, human languages, and galactic history. She especially loved human poems and music. You humans feel deeply, she said one night. Your songs are full of hope and pain. Jake nodded. We've been through a lot, but we always try again. Celia looked at him. That's what I want for Mira. A life where she can smile again. She's already smiling, Jake said gently. Because of you. Back in Cedar Point, the townspeople began trusting the girls more. Celia helped repair a water pump near the school. Mira planted flowers in the town square. Even Mayor Henson, once unsure, said they're not just aliens. They're part of us now. At the weekly town gathering, Celia was invited to speak. Stood in front of the people, nervous but proud. I am not from here, she said. My world is gone. But this town, these people, you gave us a chance. We will not forget it. The crowd clapped. Mira waved from her seat, proud of her sister. But peace doesn't last forever. That same night, far above in orbit, the enemy ship that had traced Celia and Mira's pod sent a signal back to its fleet. Inside the ship, the officer growled. Target confirmed. Loravine survivors detected. Prepare the hunter. Back on New Terra, no one knew what was coming. One afternoon, as Celia and Mira helped paint the school walls, a strong wind blew in. A dark shadow passed over the town. People looked up. It was a ship, small, black, and shaped like a claw. It hovered in the sky for only a few seconds, then vanished into the clouds. What was that? Mira asked, afraid. Jake, standing nearby, frowned. Trouble? That night, Jake met with the town council. Celia joined him. It wasn't a cargo ship, Jake said. It didn't send any signals, and it didn't land. Mayor Henson looked. Worried? You think it was looking for them? Celia nodded slowly. Yes, the ones who destroyed Lorraine. They wanted no survivors. If they know we're here, they'll come back. We don't have weapons strong enough to fight them, another council member said. Jake looked at Celia. You said your father worked with energy tech. Did he teach you anything about defenses? Celia thought hard. He had a small emergency core. It's hidden in the pod. If we connect it to your town's shield grid, we might power up something strong enough. Mayor Henson stood. Do it. Whatever it takes. Celia, Jake, and a few volunteers went back to the crash site. The pod was damaged, half covered in vines and mud. But the core was still there, glowing faintly. It's risky, Celia said. If we connect it wrong, it could explode. Jake smiled.
How?
Then, let's not connect it wrong. Together they worked through the night. Celia explained how to link the alien power to the human systems. Jake used his tools to adjust the wires and stabilize the flow. By sunrise, the town's old shield towers flickered to life. Celia stood with Myra on the hill, looking over the town. Do you think we'll be safe now? Mira asked. For now, Celia said. But if the enemy comes, we'll stand with the humans. They gave us food, shelter, and kindness. We will fight beside them. Mira held her sister's hand. We won't run again. Celia nodded. No, this time we protect. Life on New Terra had changed. The alien girls who once begged for food were now defenders of a human town. And though danger was coming, they were no longer alone. Together. With Jake, Cedar Point, and the brave people of this planet, Celia and Myra were ready for whatever came next. The sky above Cedar Point darkened in the late afternoon. Clouds gathered fast, heavy with wind. The townspeople stopped their work and looked up nervously. Celia stood near the shield tower with Jake and a few others. Mira was nearby, helping. The children gather their things and take shelter. Something's coming, Jake said quietly. Celia's silver eyes scanned the horizon. She saw a small black ship, fast and sharp like a hawk. It flew low and silent, moving directly toward the town. The enemy had come. The dark ship landed just outside the town borders. Its engines made a low hum that shook the ground. From its open hatch, armored soldiers appeared, tall, fierce, and carrying strange weapons that glowed red. The townspeople scrambled for cover. Some grabbed tools, others hid in buildings. Mayor Henson shouted, "Defend your homes. Help the girls." Celia stepped forward. "I will talk to them." Jake shook his head. "No, Celia. They want to hurt you. They want to kill." "I must try," she said firmly. Celia walked toward the soldiers, her hands raised in peace. Mira stayed behind, clutching a small knife for protection. The lead soldier approached. His helmet was dark with glowing eyes, and his voice was cold. "You are the survivors of Lorraine?" he said. "Surrender now. You'll be taken for trial." Celia shook her head. "Our world is gone. We want peace." The soldier laughed, sharp and cruel. "Peace. You will answer for your crimes. The Empire demands justice. We did not ask for war. We only want to live." Suddenly the soldier raised his weapon. The glowing red beam shot toward Celia. Before it could hit, Jake and the townspeople fired back with old rifles and tools turned into weapons. The beam missed, hitting a rock behind her. A fierce battle began. Celia and Mira ran back to Jake's side. They helped organize the town's defense. The shield towers hummed and flashed as they absorbed the energy blasts from the enemy weapons. Celia remembered the emergency core inside the pod. She told Jake to use it to boost the shield power. Jake adjusted the controls. The shields glowed. Brighter, stronger, but the soldiers kept coming. Mira found herself face to face with a soldier. He was big and angry, his weapon ready to strike. She took a deep breath and stood her ground. "You will not hurt my new home," she said. The soldier lunged, but Mira was quick. She dodged and used her small knife to cut the wires of his weapon. Sparks flew, and the soldier dropped his gun. Mira didn't attack again. She only held him until Jake and others came to help. Celia climbed onto the highest shield tower. She activated an old alien device from the Peta weapon her father had made. It looked like a small orb, glowing with blue light. She held it tightly and aimed it at the enemy's ship. The orb released a powerful pulse of energy. A blue wave spread out and hit the soldiers, knocking some to the ground and breaking their weapons. The enemy ship's engines faltered. Inside the enemy ship, the commander shouted orders. "Retreat! We will return with more forces." The black ship rose slowly, losing speed. Celia watched it disappear into the stars. "We won this battle," she said, breathing hard. "But the war's not over." Jake nodded. "We must prepare. We won't run this time." Townspeople came out of their hiding places. They cheered for the girls and Jake. The town had survived the attack. Mayor Henson said, "You saved us all. This town is lucky to have you." Celia looked at Myra. "We are stronger because of you." Myra smiled, tired but proud. That night, the town gathered to celebrate. Food was shared, songs were sung, and stories told. Celia spoke to the people. "Your kindness gave us hope. Your courage gave us strength. Together, we can protect this home." Jake looked around at the smiling faces. This is what it means to be a family. Far above in space, the enemy empire sent more ships toward New Terra, but they did not know one thing. The humans and aliens were ready. They would fight together. They would stand strong, because kindness and courage are the greatest weapons of all. The morning after the battle was quiet. The sun rose soft and warm over Cedar Point. Birds sang, and the wind carried the smell of fresh earth. Celia and Myra stood at the edge of the town, looking out over the green fields. The fighting was over, but the future was still unknown. "We did it," Mira said softly, her eyes shining with hope. Celia smiled. "Yes, but now comes the hard part, building a new life." Inside the town hall, the people of Cedar Point gathered. Mayor Henson stood at the front, looking serious but proud. "We face danger," he said. "But thanks to Celia, Myra, Jake, and all of you, we are safe." He turned to the girls. "Celia, Myra, you are no longer just guests. You are citizens of Cedar Point." The crowd cheered. Celia felt tears in her eyes. Myra squeezed her. Hand life in Cedar Point began to change for the better. Celia and Myra were given a small house near the town center. It was simple but warm, with windows that caught the sunlight and a garden space for flowers and vegetables. Myra planted bright blue flowers, reminders of their home planet. Lorvin, Celia worked with Jake and the townspeople to blend alien technology with human tools. Together, they built better machines to help with farming and defense. Children laughed as they played with Mira, who had become their favorite. She taught them games from her world, and they shared human stories. Celia taught the adults how to repair and use alien devices safely. The town began to grow stronger and smarter. One day, Jake came to Celia with a small box. "Open it," he said. Inside was a simple silver necklace with a small star-shaped charm. "I made this for you," Jake said, "for the hope you bring us all." Celia's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Jake." Months passed. The shadow of war remained in the stars, but Cedar Point stood firm. The girls never forgot their past, but they also found joy in their new life. One evening, Mira sat with Celia under the glowing stars. "Do you think we'll ever see Lorvin again?" she asked. Celia looked up. "Maybe not, but we carry it in our hearts." Mira smiled. Then, our new home is here. The people of Cedar Point look to the future with hope. Humans and aliens living side by side, learning from each other, growing. Together, Celia and Mira had come as refugees, begging for food and shelter. Now, they were leaders and friends. They had found a new family, a new world, a new home. And in that home, kindness and courage would always shine the brightest.